Hello and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and I'm joined by...
Hello, I'm Tammy, aka the Autumn Witch.
And also...
Hello, I'm Mime.
And today we are talking about the shock news that's hit Age of Sigmar that Warhammer are cutting models. And it seems to have been blown up a lot bigger than it is, personally.
I don't know. I think
plastered everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's more a case of which models are being cut as opposed to them cutting models.
Yes.
The Beastmen, fine, I suppose. Apparently that range is going to Old World, so it's just a case of sticking a new label on the box.
Yeah.
But it's the Stormcast. AoS is as much about Stormcast as 40k is about Space Marines.
Well, okay, this is a good one because you are obviously not a Sigmar player at all.
No.
So you wouldn't know that Sigmar players have been begging them to cut some of these models, and they all look fairly much the same. You don't have the concept of WYSIWYG in Age of Sigmar. It's just not a thing. You don't get people magnetizing all the loadouts. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be re-releasing these Stormcasts in the new armor, and kind of like narrowing down the range of them. Like, you don't need the two different types. You don't need the Judicators and the Castigators. Sorry, the Gryph-hounds are cool. Like, you don't need two types of all of these infantry, basically.
And it's like, we know the prosecutors are definitely getting a new sculpt in the starter box anyway.
Yeah, we've seen
there are so many of them that we know specifically are getting new sculpts. That it doesn't mention that here. It just says they're retiring.
Yeah, you've got 1,000 characters. There are 40 characters for the Stormcast, and all of them are just like, they're a guy in armor with a weapon. You could use any of these for like any character role in the army, basically, and they're all cool. I'm not saying they're all like totally generic and bad, but
it's Lord, then followed by some cool word.
Yeah.
Some of them are priests, some of them are wizards.
Yeah, I think what the main issue is that some of these have not been out for very long as a model kit. And rather than look at it as like an isolated thing, because we know that GW doesn't do things in isolation, is this something that's going to happen moving forward? I mean, if people are going to invest money into the hobby, and it is quite a bit of money, not as much as if you wanted to do a model railway, but it's still a very expensive hobby.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
And I think a lot of people are kind of worried that it's kind of like a gentleman's agreement that if you buy these expensive things from GW,
you're going to have some lifetime span.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's interesting that they've set the cut-off date for the being able to use them in a current, with the current rules.
Yes.
With that date being it's also pretty much the 10th anniversary of the first release of AoS.
Yes.
And it, looking at a knock-on effect, is this going to start happening in other systems?
See, this is the thing.
Is this going to happen in Space Marines?
I've mostly heard complaints from 40k players because
there are too many.
The way they've done 40k, you're not just able to go, okay, this guy with a flamer is now the new guy with a bolter or whatever. Because in 40k they've developed a culture where that kind of thing really matters, to the point that people do magnetize all the weapons options. And I see like more 40k players being worried about this than Age of Sigmar players have been, because
I think like you said though, is like, is it going to be a knock-on effect into other game systems? I think that's more what people are worried about than the actual initial news.
Yes.
And it's not like, I mean, most of the other Sigmar factions, because as we see and they're discontinuing a lot of Skaven units.
Yeah, obviously,
Beastmen
we can
units.
expect most of these to get either new models
Long-serving.
or
replacements.
these sculpts getting shunted into the old world, or at least kept around in some form for the old world. You're not going to get that with Stormcast, because they have
the Stormcast
absolutely
will be gone.
Yeah, they have absolutely no presence in like the old world setting.
Yes.
So people that have looked at it like over the last 10 years gone, oh, look, big gold shiny Sig Marines. Yeah, I'm going to get a big army of these. And then this happens. I mean, this kind of happened to me as a Space Marine player just before 10th edition 40k dropped, when they announced just a whole load of old Space Marine kits that were being shuffled along. But with that, there was the rationale of, well, the newest kit there is about 15 years old. You know, it's been around, it's done its thing. The people that want it have probably got it. They might do a made to order later on or something. But here, a lot of folk are going to be feeling, well, you know, they're already getting rid of the original models, and the game's not even been out for 10 years yet.
Yeah.
This would kind of be like
but if I could suggest, like, the other solution to this, like, kind of range is getting bloated by, you know, they have to put the good guys from each game. I don't know why they have to do that with Sigma. I don't know why it has to be the Stormcast every time. They could try Cities of Sigma.
Probably because they sell, basically.
Well, they didn't, first of all. Like, it was something GW created in the last 10 years, so they could make something else sell, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are certain logics to the way they were designed to make them good for a introductory army into it.
Easy to paint, easy to build. Like,
chunky.
Yeah,
I mean, but I think the other thing they could have done is they could have put out another starter set that had a whole other set of a whole Stormcast chamber full of brand new stuff, and then the range would have kept getting bloated, and you have so many things with different roles. I think instead of that, what they've done is gone, no, we're going to remake the first models. So these are the same guys. You can use the old guys. You can use these new ones that have got a fancier armor. You know, it's not quite as exciting as like, oh, a whole new army. But I mean, with Space Marines, like, you get a 40k starter set, you're going to get Space Marines, like basic Space Marines of some description.
And I really hate the amount of bloat that's going on with certain factions, including Space Marines.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I feel that there are quite a few Space Marine units that have just been them digging ideas out of a hat. Like Space Marines with, oh, look, big, stupid-looking Nerf gun missile launchers.
I knew they would be the ones that go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, back in the day with like not to go off on a tangent, but you know, back in the day, if you wanted like a heavy weapons team, you bought the Devastator squad kit, and you had a load of weapons in there that you could build a Devastator squad with. Whereas now with like Primaris Marines, you can. Each weapon type has its own associated squad, and it is ridiculous. It is absurd.
And it's the only problem GW have got to this question of like, how do we keep on producing new models that people want? Like, everyone wants the new models from Games Workshop, and yet like keep these ranges kind of usable still.
Yeah, I mean, I think they answered that quite well by revamping the Terminators. That was really good. Taking a unit that already existed, so you don't have to like create an entirely new like function for an entirely new squad that looks like all the others. They were able to take an older unit and do a newer kit, and people love that, and that's great. And if what they're doing with Stormcast is essentially that, where
Yeah, it seems very
it's
much
the
to
same
take that philosophy.
Yeah, they've just taken the old stuff and they're giving it a bit of a glow up, kind of like how, like with Primaris Marines from like the Firstborn Marines. That's fine. But like I say, I think it's not so much this that is the problem. I think it's a case of, and because they did it before with the Space Marine range, and a lot of very well regarded or well loved models disappeared. I think people are going to start feeling a little less secure about their armies, because if they think, well, this is a big commitment, people that I know have been in it for 10, 15, 20 years, 30, they're going to think, well, I'm going to spend all this money, and this is just going to be completely outdated and replaced within the next couple of editions. What's the point? And so I think it's more shaking faith in Games Workshop than actual concern at the actual thing what they just did.
Okay, well, we've touched a lot on the Stormcast, and also the Skaven are obviously, we know they're getting remakes. Let's just have a quick talk about the other factions. Now, Bone Splitters. I collect Iron Jaws, and Bone Splitters are just that weird little remnant in the book from when they originally split up the Orc factions to try and create some new, like, copyrightable terms in Age of Sigmar. But they've never really done anything with the old Savage Orcs.
I mean, am I right in thinking that these are, or at least some of them are, repurposed from
all of them?
Fantasy
all of them.
All of them have been.
They did get this.
The only new one is that Underworlds one.
Yes, Hendraka's Mad Mob.
Yeah,
that's the only love they've got in 9 years of Age of Sigmar. So, I think the people who are still playing, seriously collecting them as an army were few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, this is another army that I'm pretty sure is just going to get a different box that says Old World instead of AoS on it.
They're being rolled back into Orcs and Goblins in that. And it makes sense. Like, people who have armies of that will probably have a legacy one from Warhammer Fantasy originally, rather than having gone, oh, I want to get into Age of Sigmar. Let's get that faction that's only got, like, 6 kits, and most of them are, like, resin or over 20 years old. It just, So there's those. I don't think anyone's going to be hugely mourning those.
I don't think they're going to actually be gone. They're just going to be repurposed into.
I mean, people who use them in a big war band, maybe like with some, just like a character for a certain reason in a certain season.
That Wargog Prophet was very popular in Big War. It's like
yes.
Yeah, I mean that my more cynical side might suggest that GW might be pushing more traditional fantasy players back towards the old world, so they have to get into that system as well if they want to use the army they already have.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not normally one to spout conspiracy theories about Games Workshop. If they do something good, I'll say they've done something good. If they fuck up, I'll say they fucked up. This is I'm cynical about what they're pushing forward as the benefits of this, but not, it's not like they've just marched into your house and stomped on all your miniatures.
And I think most of it was entirely necessary.
Yeah.
Now, if we could move on to the Slaves to Darkness, obviously they've had all these Warcry. I believe Kagra's Ravagers was Underworlds. Yes. All the rest are Warcry ones. Now, in the wild that they hadn't done anything with the non-Chaos Warrior side of Slaves to Darkness, the Marauders as they were, no one wanted to get those old models. So these were perfect stand-ins. They were designed for Warcry to be like a kind of Necromunda thing originally. And to kind of explore these new areas, and they're all fantastic kits. Some of them have had good rules that have put them above like basic Marauders. I know I believe people used a lot of Cypher Lords and Untamed Beasts and stuff. I don't know what else. And just they make great models for like mortal cultists of chaos, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people complain about the Horns of a Shoot. Like, they literally came out, what was it, last year?
Yes.
Like, to retire a model that quickly.
But like you're saying, they are now doing the Dark Oath set for...
Yes, all the Dark Oath stuff will effectively replace this in the list. And they haven't actually come out and straight out said these models are going away. Like, it could be they carry on for Warcry for ages, and you can still buy them that way, and you can use them to proxy your like Dark Oath troops and that.
Yeah.
Like, as far as we know, there's nothing saying the models are not going to be sold anymore. They're just not giving like the Chaos Codex. Like, what is it? That's I can't count today.
When I had the Slaves to Darkness book, there was so much bloat from just like Warcry scrolls in the background.
11 different war scrolls plus the Marauders one, so 12 war scrolls for basic foot troops. That's a bit over the top.
To be fair,
now,
sorry.
If I could just add that I did look earlier on the web store, and most of these have already gone last chance to buy. So there wasn't even a this is what's happening.
Right.
If you want to grab them in the next few weeks or something, but no, it's bang on last.
I was not aware that these had gone last chance to buy. In which case, I kind of retract that. But I think GW would be fools not to kind of like reintroduce these, at least in Warcry, at some point.
I mean, I'm not sure if it's all of them that have gone last chance. I know the Stormcast have gone last chance to buy.
Oh yes, obviously
the others. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's another thing that's like irking the community a bit.
Yes.
Just we're going to discontinue this, and it's discontinued now. As opposed to
a bit more warning would have been nice. Yes.
Also, Warcry seems to have moved away now from kind of just Chaos War bands to every faction's got their own little.
Because I think there was a lot of initial disappointment when it was announced that these are all just Chaos War bands that aren't things. I thought it was going to be like Kill Team for AoS, and there was a lot of that. And it is nice to see that there is a Kill Team for AoS, but all these factions were so good.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad we got to explore them. And hopefully, they exist in the lore of Age of Sigmar now, so they could always bring them back in some form or another.
I mean, you exist in the lore.
They did say there that they'll get Legends War Scrolls, so it's kind of like the thing with like the old Space Marines. Some of them are still around. I mean, it seemed pretty arbitrary as to what got proper deleted and what got to stick around as a Legends thing.
We just talk about like last one major faction that's gone, Beasts of Chaos, and this is pretty sad, I will say. Everyone had hoped Beasts of Chaos would have got a full range refresh that they badly needed, but it looks like GW have just looked at the things and gone, we're not going to have time to, and it's going to be like 5 or 6 years before another Chaos faction is going to be the big faction that gets a range refresh. There's been so much for them to do, and I can see why they've done it. It's just a shame.
When the book came out and it was just the Beast Lords, like the only new model, and you got the Vanguard set, it was just there was just nothing updated really for them really, and it's a shame because like I love the Herdstone, I love the endless spells for them.
I mean, just the concept of the Dragon Ogres, the Cygors are cool. Models looking a little flaky, especially the Dragon Ogres.
Like a lot of people were saying when the Ogreoid Firmidons came out for Slaves to Darkness, that was kind of like the final nail in the coffin for them.
Yeah. It's just been a fact that one of the armies GW really tried to port over, but like just everything everything has gone against actually updating this army. So I think, yeah, it's a shame to see it go, but at least, you know, in the old world, it'll be kind of on a level playing field in terms of models and that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sad to see it go. A lot of people kind of predicted that, though. So I don't think we've really lost that much, apart from some of these individual models.
I mean, I was looking up on this earlier because, like, the Saurus Eternity Warden, I was like, I have not seen that in the battle tome for Seraphon.
Yeah.
Like, it's not new that it's not around. It's not even in the 3rd edition battle tome. It's
yeah. Now, there's been a lot of rumours that Valkyria was getting a new model for ages. I really hope they've just decided to retire her now and bring her back when the new model's out. That would be my ideal thing.
Yeah.
The Mistweaver Sai.
Retiring an old model with an old war scroll doesn't mean in the future it's not going to come back bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, they retired Sigvald. You couldn't get Sigvald in the army for a couple of years or so, I seem to remember, and then
he was
lovely new
gloriously back.
Yeah, I will say the Mistweaver Sai is just one of those things that, like, it was great at the start of Age of Sigmar when they didn't have any idea what they were going to do with the elves. These were, like, mysterious and cool, but it just doesn't fit anywhere. Not with the kind of, like, mythos they've developed since.
Yeah, then you got the big boss on his big spider, which I believe is also a resin kit from.
Yes, everyone's been converting that.
Yeah, from the before times.
So
I mean, that's probably going to end up in the old world as well. So I think that we're going to have to see a lot of stuff here get shuffled into old world, but the models themselves are going to be either discontinued completely or they'll get rested for a bit, and then some of them will come back in in the old world setting, not necessarily as they are, but with like the Beastmen, the new stuff like the Herdstone and the Endless Spells. I think this is the last chance to get them. Whereas they're just like the basic Beastmen and some of the characters and the Cygors and such. Yeah, I think they will be folded into the old world at some point. Maybe they're judging how outraged people are about it, so they can see if old world 2nd edition, because they like to think 3 years ahead, that for old world 2nd edition it would be something against Beastmen.
Yeah, that's an option. In summary, I'd say that, like, personally, I think there's some sad that some things are going, but it all makes sense, and they've done it in the least harmful way they possibly could have. I'd be interested to hear if anyone in the comments has any ideas how they could have handled it more sensitively, or if they should have done it.
It really does suck if that was, like, your only army and you want to carry on playing Age of Sigmar, but at the same time, you've still got a year.
Yeah, you've got a year.
Just gone, bam, that's your army over.
I mean, I'm sure most people are, mad about this. Most of their army is unpainted in a box and unassembled. They kind of bought it knowing that it's going to take them like 2 or 3 years to get round to do stuff, and now it's like, oh yeah, you've only got a year, and then you're on your own.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
I think it's more a case of the execution over the concept that is what's grinding a bit.
Yes. Well, short story, sad times, but hopefully a happy rebirth ahead, especially for those lovely rat men.
And hopefully they will trim down some of the bloody Primaris units in 40k.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh, fucking nerf guns.
Okay, well, we've been Bleeding Tree Gaming. Thank you very much for listening. And we'll see you.
It's been lovely having a rant. Ranting good.
Feels good.
Oh, and just another thing, if you think that we were a bit clickbaity here, put it down in the comments and give us a like to let us know that you think it's clickbaity.
I will take all the blame for that.
And if you think it's super clickbaity, hit the subscribe button and really, really let us know.
Yes, that'll teach us.
And ring the bell.
We can't ring the bells. They're getting rid of the Skaven bells. No bells to ring.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.